For years they were partners, now they're rivals from completely opposing teams. The new third generation Mazda BT-50 has landed in Australia, but rather than use the Ford Ranger as its base, it now has a brand new tie-up with the Isuzu D-Max. It's a brave new direction for Mazda, so to see whether it has paid off, we're putting the BT-50 up against its former relation, the Ford Ranger. It's a $60,000 shootout as we pitch the flagship BT-50 GT against the Ranger XLT, which sits one rung below the Wildtrak in Ford's lineup. While the Mazda is new from the ground up, now using the D-Max as its base, the Ranger has essentially been around since 2011, undergoing worthy midlife updates during that time. We'll start with the Mazda. Underneath, this isn't just a take on the new Isuzu D-Max, it's a complete carbon copy. The BT-50 has the same 3-litre turbo diesel 4-cylinder engine, and in this instance, an identical 6-speed automatic transmission. In addition, the steering, suspension tune, and even the interior are all carryover, with the exception of Mazda's own leather seats. The BT-50 is even built on the same Isuzu tyre production line as the D-Max. The upside of this is a significant safety boost for the third generation BT-50, with the inclusion of autonomous emergency braking, a full suite of airbags, and the latest driver aids. The Mazda trumps the Ford on safety with blind spot monitoring, active cruise control, lane keeping, lane departure warning, and a centre airbag in the front row. Inside resides a 9-inch touchscreen, USB ports, and air vents to both rows, plus grab rails for all occupants. The layout feels modern and contemporary in this company, but the interior loses points for fabric top tether loops for the child seat anchorage system, as well as a clunky infotainment system. We've covered the ins and outs of the new Isuzu D-Max in separate videos, but not surprisingly, a lot of the key character traits apply here. The BT-50 takes quite a significant step forward in terms of on-road refinement. It's quieter, and the steering feels more car-like, lighter weighting at lower speeds, yet more feel and feedback once you're up and running. There's a certain lightness to the BT-50 in its latest generation as well. It changes direction confidently and it feels more approachable, at least where smooth surfaces apply. On a bumpy B road, the BT-50 tremors over small amplitude imperfections and can occasionally be jarring over harsher obstacles. The ride irons out slightly with speed, but for the most part, it's bumpy progress. In a similar vein, the engine covers daily duties quite admirably. Beyond some audible clatter at low revs, it builds speed smoothly and progressively, and it works well with the 6-speed automatic transmission, which is also smooth and well timed in its shifts. If you ask a little bit more from the 3-litre engine though, it's clear that it lacks the outright torque of something like the Ford Ranger. For that reason, it relies on the gearbox to kick down gears and keep the engine at its sweet spot. The Ranger is due for its own massive overhaul in early 2022, at which point it will have a brand new tie-up with the Volkswagen Amarok. Until then, the Ranger uses Ford's tried and tested T6 platform, paired in this instance with a turbo diesel 4-cylinder engine. It's been around a few years, but it's still a formidable combination. Thanks to some updates along the way, the Ranger shares a lot of the BT-50 safety suite, though crucially, not all of it. But at best, the Mazda, with the inclusion of a cargo liner, tow bar, rear sports bar with integrated LED lights, and a household power outlet in the rear seat and cargo areas. Inside, the Ranger is beginning to feel its age, missing out on rear air vents and making do with a driver instrument cluster layout that could be better with its readouts. But with that said, the interior does all the important stuff well, a bit like the Ranger's on-road execution. Well, this is almost like a palate cleanser on the road. The Ranger has been around for a few years now. In fact, the fundamentals of it have been largely unchanged since 2011, but it's still the most comfortable, the most refined, and the most compliant of these two vehicles on the road, with more direct steering, nicer weighting to it, and a much stronger and more responsive engine. The Ranger's smaller 2-litre engine trumps the Mazda on power and torque, which is reflected in on-road performance, but it was the slightly thirstier vehicle on test. The engine, like the rest of the internals, still has a slight agricultural premise, and the Ford, like the Mazda, still makes do with rear drum brakes despite its positioning as a tow vehicle.
But the most redeeming trait with this car is that it's a great all-rounder. It does the unladen stuff quite well, yet it's really good under tow, it's really sure-footed under load, and the engine performs well across a range of duties.
We didn't venture off-road this time round, but recent testing has revealed both are well equipped away from the sealed stuff, with high range and low range 4-wheel drive, rear diff locks and strong water wading depths. Similarly, both utes offer a 3.5 tonne towing capacity, and based on previous experience, it's the Ranger with a slight advantage there. A 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty is common between Ranger and BT-50, while the Ford is $600 cheaper to service over a 5-year plan.
It's clear that this is a significant step change for the Mazda BT-50 and a huge improvement in terms of tech and safety. But as far as a built-for-purpose, everyday utility goes, it's very hard to look past the Ford Ranger. It's already accounted for the Toyota Hilux and the new Isuzu D-Max. Now it has the new Mazda BT-50 covered as well.